Hi guys, this is Cosmopolitan Talks. My name is Thiago and I'm from Brazil.
Hi guys, and I'm Mariam from Armenia.
Today we're going to discuss politics and racism on the times of COVID-19. So about politics, we are going to try to cover the most neutral way as possible the aspect of politics, and also try to give a brief look on the models of quarantine that been implicit and the relation among politics. And on this, we're going to have some people from Africa that are going to give their perspective, and also I'm going to give my perspective as a Brazilian and also Italian, as I have the citizenship that lives on Sweden.
Throughout the COVID-19 crisis, many individuals, particularly those from East Asian backgrounds, are reporting more experiences of racism and xenophobia. East Asian individuals have been unfairly targeted for discrimination, and partially due to the virus first being identified in Wuhan, China. The disease was initially termed the Wuhan coronavirus and still referred to as the Chinese virus, terms that closely associate Chinese communities with the virus. It's very unfortunate that anyone with an East Asian background has become associated with the virus. It's illegal to treat people differently because of their race or culture. If it happens to you, remember, no one has the right to make you feel bad or abuse you for who you are.
We found similarities during the dialogue discussion that we had with people from Africa and also the people from Armenia.
Let me say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on your location and globally. Firstly, I am Sylvester Chorople, a Liberian. The issue of the alleged misuse of coronavirus funding. That in Africa, many citizens from different countries, they complained on their governments that the governments do not utilize funding they receive from international donors, from international organizations, to making sure that citizens across Africa remain at home in order to observe health protocols. So this issue, how does it really has effect on peace building? You realize that because of this allegation, citizens are going lockerhead, divisions among citizens, hatred on the increase because of the misuse of coronavirus funds. It had disturbed the peace building process of countries. Like for example, let me be specific, like in Liberia. There are so many complaints that fundings received by national leaders, national government are being used for individual purpose. Fundings have not been used for the direct purpose or for the internal purpose. Like in our country, Liberia, the government has declared state of emergency or the lockdown for 3 months, where citizens have not been given the chance to carry on their normal businesses. So you realize that many of the citizens are now sitting at homes, irrespective of health protocols. But most of those citizens find it very extremely difficult to have stay home because of no food. So the issue of crime rate is rampant. Divisions hate communities. It's alleged that national leaders use coronavirus resources for themselves. So the issue of hatred becomes the talk of the day. Separations, criticisms. So of these things due to a big issue of coronavirus. So the outbreak of the coronavirus has serious consequences on peace building process. Let me take this example. The issue of coronavirus has brought separation, like what the BBC has reported. You have world leaders going against each other in the fight of coronavirus, criticizing each other, and forgetting about building peace.
Hello and good evening. Reporting live from Nigeria. Ebenezer Caleb is my name. There was a report being filed in from the PDP, that's the opposition party to APC. Now, we were being led to understand that there are some Chinese people that were brought into this country late in the night yesterdays, and then their reason has not been made public why they are here and what is the essence they come to our country. We have our medical teams, we have our professionals now, but then you see already this thing is causing a lot of issues. People are hungry and people are angry. So and then the government need to tread carefully, because right now everyone there's chaos. People are confused, people are looking for information, and then you bring strangers to our countries, and then we don't have considerate reason why they are here. So you see, it's actually affecting everything. So it's high time that we get to communicate with people, we give them information. That's the least a government can do.
I believe that the most important thing that we need to check, especially with the people from Africa, is that politics is a challenge, but I feel that nowadays we cannot really denominate politician A or B. I mean, especially for their political spectrum, if they're right or left wing, if they're correct or not, due to the spectrum they follow. But we needed to check also the quarantine model that is being implemented. So I feel that especially countries like, for example, Sweden, which adopted it partially and a lot of people went against, but now it's getting very well on this pandemic, and other countries that also implemented the full, but they are getting good. I feel that that's the most important that we need to check now. We need to see if actually people are getting results on the way they implement the quarantine model. And the quarantine model is not really reflected on the political belief that the politicians have or the spectrum that they are following. Because there is countries, for example, in Brazil, which we have a right-wing perspective, and here in Sweden is left-wing, and our government also is kind of more favorable of the partially, even though I would say that it's more into no quarantine at all. But we have difference because countries like US and Brazil, since they have the federative model of state, they can actually, each state have autonomy and they can actually implement their quarantine model by themselves. So in Brazil and US, you have different states implement their different quarantine, even though the federal government, the president says that they should follow A or B type. And countries like Sweden, because of the different model, it's implemented for all the country.
It's no surprise that the COVID-19 pandemic affected the political system of multiple countries, and the changes we're confronted with at the moment are so, enormous that we have the unique possibility of choosing the future we wish to see.
As mentioned by my Nobel colleague from Nigeria, the thing that's important, especially in his audio, that we needed to look governments and politicians and not actually people. And this is also related to the next topic, which is going to be about racism. Because, of course, you needed to see about the government and about what Chinese government is doing, for example, in his country, Nigeria. But you cannot use this as a tool to be racist against all the Chinese, especially like the Chinese who are actually already in the country. You need to see, of course, if their government what they're doing there, but this is not also something that you need to be used against the whole Asian and use as a type of stereotype, which is actually bad.
Hi, I'm Yeva from Armenia, and I want to talk about racism. Racism has always been a big issue, and lately, racism, especially towards Asians, has become more intense because of coronavirus. I myself can't exactly tell how it feels like, but as I hear from my Asian friends that live abroad, it is very hard for them to freely go out without worrying what will happen to them. People stare at them, sit far away in the bus, shout coronavirus in the street, and it's very disrespectful. Just imagine being in their shoes. Yes, coronavirus has started from an Asian country, but not every Asian has coronavirus. And can't other races get coronavirus? Think about it. Racism doesn't have a place in this world, and people should understand it.
Yeah, I completely agree with Yeva, and racism really has no place here. And it's very sad to know that there are some people who think that they are inferior because of their color or nationality, race, and that actually can result in them treating you differently or unfairly. And it's called racial discrimination, but not only that, but also hate crime. We really should refer racism as to hate crime.
Cosmopolitan Talks, I'm Milena, and today I want to talk about racism. Racism and equality have something that has been going on for a long time now, dating back to all the way when Martin Luther King gave his I Have a Dream speech. This is something we need to put an end to. Racism is a word that means a lot of things to people. In my eyes, there are no blacks, no Asians, no Hispanics. There is only one race. That race is human. No matter what our color is, we are all human. The topic racism is something that needs to be changed. We don't need it in the world we live in right now, and we should fight together against it. I want to emphasize the word together because that's the only way we can fight racism. Most of us sometimes think that it's not our problem, it's their problem, but there are times that silence can be the worst betrayal.
Yeah, I see. Milena has a really good point. Martin Luther King, yeah, he lived under discriminatory laws his entire life, and he knew that those wounds created by racial injustice wouldn't be healed by just pretending that, injustice never happened. Yeah, and I totally agree with you, Milena. Good point.
Regarding the thing that was mentioned about racism, I believe that that's very important because for me it's very unique these times that people talk about Asian races, because to be honest, I never heard of that before as a pejorative way. I always listen, especially that that the Asian people are intelligent, etc., etc., etc. But I mean that's just me. But for me, what it's curious is that I feel that it's not really that specific because Asians are Asian, but it's because from where the pandemic started. So people, they have this bad guess that because they are Asian, they are automatically contaminated with the virus, and that's totally bad. I mean, you cannot really judge people because you're just born in Asia, and they automatically get infected because it started on China. That's very, very sad. I mean, we needed to check that today. We live in a different world, and that's not the way to follow. We shouldn't really do that.
I myself think that racism mostly comes from the lack of information or knowledge about, those races, nations, cultures, etc. And I think one of the most important first steps people can take to learn about other cultures is to simply accept that there are many different cultures other than their own.
Okay, so now I believe that we finished the discussion. Me and Mariam would like to thank and appreciate the time that we had, and we want to advise you to stay tuned on our YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. That's from our group that we are participating at the moment. That's Cosmopolitan Talks. And thank you very much and have a nice day.